So greetings everyone, and welcome to the fourth day of the path of purification. Before we start the session, let's just step back into a few moments silence. So warm greetings to you all. Now our speaker today is Manoj Pavithran. He's actually worked with us quite frequently on these events. He's an integral yoga practitioner and educator. He was drawn to Aurobindo in 1989 and eventually joined Aurobindo in 1995. He's a co-founder of Purification Center for Integrality in Aurobindo, and he offers transformative courses. He's produced a film series called Evolution Fast Forward, and he's authored a book, Pilgrims of the Infinite, and he's written some very insightful articles for NAMAH as well. Now, the subject of his talk today, his presentation today, is purity and concentration, the two complementary aspects. It's a very interesting subject. So over to you, Manoj. I hope you enjoy this session, everyone.
Good to see many familiar faces, smiling faces. It's a privilege to be in the presence of loving attention. I know many of you, and to see that smile, that makes me warm. Feels sweet. Thank you. Thank you for your presence, your attention. About purity and concentration, how they complement. I would like to begin with Agni, the purifying flame, the flame of aspiration, the flame of purification, the flame of tapasya, the flame of transformation. Not as an abstract concept, but as a living reality right now. For those who are from India, you know that Agni is also referred to as Sakshi, the witness, the observer. The one who has woken up in you, in us. The one who is witnessing this moment, this gathering, witnessing through all of us. The seer, who is also the master of that seer will. So when you gather your attention through seeing, through hearing, it is that seeing will of Agni. And I'm offering my oblations, these words, and this gathered attention is concentration, stable, gathered attention. But this attention can be very neutral or a critical attention, or it can be a loving gaze. How you gaze through your heart. And what are we gazing at? What are we concentrating upon? Because the very power of concentration is our ability to identify with that which we are concentrating upon. So at this moment, if we are to enter into that deep concentration, and if we want to know purity, we focus on purity itself. Not as a concept, but as an experience. So when we gaze, what Buddha might call the samyak drishti, the right seeing. Or samyak sankalpa, the right intention, or the right mental conception. What is it that we need to keep in mind? We are not just concentrating, We are concentrating upon something. And what is the aspect of the purity that we can concentrate upon? And that which is always pure, which is the spirit which is always pure, the soul which is always pure, which is already present. And you are here because you are seekers. It's your heart's longing. It's your own purity that you're seeking. It's your own sacred dimension. Your own divine essence. So when we gather our attention, and when we pour our loving attention, it is upon this divine presence that is dwelling in every heart, shining through every face. That is what we need to hold so that we can invoke and enter into a communion with it. Because the power of concentration is to identify with that which we are concentrating. Like the right remembrance, samyak smriti or samyak samadhi. The right remembrance, the right concentration upon that. The purity that is already there. The divine presence that is already there. Enveloping, carrying everything. But we forget, we get carried away, we get distracted. Our concentration is not total, complete. We get scattered. Like right now, you're sitting, you've gathered your body, you've gathered your attention, you've gathered your emotions, your impulses. And you're offering all that. We are all offering together. To invoke the presence of that which is already pure, already sublime. And our essence is one with that. So the right remembrance, every second, I exist in the divine presence. Divine presence exists in me. That noble, pure status of our being. Is just waiting to emerge and reveal itself, so that we can immerse into the experience of that purity, its calmness, its sacredness. And bring it into our active, physical, mental, vital layers. This is what we can do right now. So purity is not a concept, but a living experience where you come in touch with that which is already pure. It is there in you. It is everywhere. And we can offer ourselves to it completely, so that it envelops, permeates, enters into every part of our being, purifies it, bring clarity, directness. And Agni is the Sakshi, a living presence witnessing through us, to which words are offered, to which a clear understanding is offered, and the very joy of our being is offered. The rishis would say, offering ghee, offering soma, and chanting mantras. There is nothing esoteric. It's a living moment-to-moment process. If we can invoke consciously, by gathered attention, and just immerse into it, surrender to it, so that that which is already pure can enter into our instrumental nature and set right its operations. In integral yoga, all life is yoga, everything we do is yoga, and it is not by our effort we arrive at perfection. Our effort is to gather ourselves and offer, so that we come in touch with the divine presence within us, around us, and it can enter, it can embrace, it can purify. And its very touch is sacred, pure, noble. And it's not far in the future. In this very living moment, to remember, so that we have the right seeing, the right conception, the purified understanding, which is everything is nothing but that. But we are unable to enter into it completely and wholeheartedly because our instruments tend to get restless. It has its own habitual operations. But the more you are awake, the more the witness, the sakshi, the observer remembers that I am in that, and relax and surrender. Then peace settles. Equality is a natural byproduct. Calmness is a natural byproduct. Even the purification of our highest instrument, which is buddhi, naturally happens when the divine presence envelops, cleans the buddhi, establishes the peace, calm. Naturally, the luminous clarity arises. It is not through rational thinking the intelligent will is purified. The intelligent will, the buddhi, Aurobindo says, is the most important faculty in us that needs to be purified. Now that intelligent will gets colored by emotional likes, dislikes, attachments, preferences, attractions, repulsions, and moral and ethical conceptions of right and wrong. We can use scientific thinking, we can use dialectic thinking, we can use systems thinking, we can use design thinking, different models of thinking to structure the process of reason and thought. But that is conventional way, not yogic. Yogic way of purifying the intelligent will is by offering it, opening the mind to that presence, that force. Which will cleanse. And in integral yoga, we distinguish between purity, purification, and transformation. Purification is when the instruments are brought to function at their original intended function. The natural function as it has evolved. In normal conditions, these are mixed up. We remove the mixing, or rather the mixing gets purified, everything gets sorted out. When the Yoga Shakti enters, it clears the buddhi, clears the heart, clears the body. Body become light, heart become pure, emotions become noble, thought become clear. But it is still the natural human perfection. Transformation is the next stage when the force enters and transforms and lifts it up to a higher level of functioning. But purity is the first condition. And easiest way to enter purity is by uniting with that which is already pure. And it is already there within us. It is surrounding us. It's behind all things. When we see a child, we see the innocence, we see the purity. There is joy that comes with seeing that purity. It's easy to see that light, that purity. But we are entangled with the world and adults, and we forget that the same light and purity is there in everyone. We forget to see the lights. So the right remembrance and the more we concentrate on that which is pure, the more it will reveal itself and become very living presence. And you begin to feel that your own entire inner space is becoming sacred. And you cannot allow crude or ugly thoughts to pass through your mind. Emotions of hatred or anger or a jealousy, you cannot allow them to flow through you, because you have already tasted your sacredness. Your inner space becomes that sacred living presence. Like Aurobindo says, the temple must be kept clean for the divine presence to dwell there. Integral yoga being the sunlit path, the simplest way is to directly open to that light and presence. While a clear mental understanding helps, But it has to come to that focus that the divine presence is already there in everything, in everyone. And that's where we need to concentrate. When Sri Aurobindo was in the jail, he was focusing on Vasudeva Sarvamiti, one mantra. Everything is nothing but that divine presence. And the more you concentrate, the more it reveals. And we enter in touch, direct touch. Not as a conceptual knowledge, but a very living experience of the presence that begins to permeate even our very physical substance. Very bodily substance. And the more we open to that living presence, the living force, even body will begin to naturally drop habits, foods that are not suitable anymore. Not through any intellectual conclusion, but as a natural progression. When you get refined in your sensations, in your very physical substance, in your emotions, in your thoughts, food that violates it, you will know immediately. Because purity as a status of your being naturally is settling. A gross vibration of sensations or emotions, energies, when they enter, you immediately know this is crude. Not through any ethical, moral way of judging things, but in the very substance of your being, you know the vibration that is entering is inadmissible. It violates your purity. It violates your harmony. It violates your peace. And in integral yoga, we are not just looking at passive purity, but an active, dynamic purity which can flow into action through the instruments. The action of purified understanding, purified will. A will, when it is surrendered and open to the larger action, a vaster, calmer will, an impulsion that is all-encompassing, not personal, free from impulses, free from agitation. That can begin to move through the instrument. An action that is increasingly free. A will that is not our individual mental will, but a greater, vaster will that envelops the whole being and enters the instrumentation and works through it. And it pours into the mind a purified mind that is calm and silent and still. It can reveal its intentions, its clear visions. Next step of your action. So that we can become the willing servitors. And it is very important that we need to step out of all the dualities in the mind as right and wrong, which is generally born out of social conventions. Similarly, in the heart, there is habitual liking and disliking, the affinities and dislikes. All this, even pleasure and pain, all this will come under the gaze of that loving attention where the Agni is burning. All the experiences are offered. And you see the play of the duality. You see the play of the gunas. You see the play of the ego. You say, no, that's not where I want to go. You enter increasingly into communion with that which is pure. Ever present, our very source, our deepest depth, our purest status of being. To which we offer. So the process of purification becomes less and less intellectual, less and less ethical, more and more direct. And the force enters and works through. So an active purity is when we are able to poise ourselves in that inner status of being which is pure, and impulsions of action, revelations of thought, streams of inspiration, these are all pouring through the instrumentation and expressing itself in life and action. We become mere instrumental conditions through which it is acting. And that divine purity take possession of the instrument. It envelops the instrument. And you know that your very body is a sacred temple. When you offer food to it, you know that you cannot violate that purity. You know that you need to take care of that body, giving it the right rest, the right exercise. Even those movements of stretching and exercising the body, when it is purified from the mental rules, from the vital impulsions, when the body is made to a passive instrument and the witnessing Agni is present, very act of stretching or holding an asana becomes so conscious, a process of opening different layers, tissues of the body to the force, so that it can enter and unclog the blocked energies. And it will guide a living, real-time guidance. So there is the process of purification that is not born out of rules and regulations, but a living guidance direct from the inner guide. Moment to moment. An impulse is arising and you're witnessing it. And you can feel its vibrational quality, its impulsion or its compulsion. And you know whether this is to be allowed to manifest. It's a moment-to-moment choice that is given, revealed. And you can see how the entire instrumentation of the mind, the vital and physical, are getting purified by the living presence. It's love and it's compassion. It's infinite understanding of what you are. And you yield to its molding force. Allow that presence to grow. And enter more and more in communion with that which is pure. And out of that comes the freedom. Shuddhi is the condition of mukti, the freedom. And mukti is the condition of siddhi, the perfection, the growing perfection. And the siddhi leads to bhukti, which is enjoyment. The delight of being finds its expression through the instrumentation. A free enjoyment, an active involvement in life and action, and an active enjoyment. Integral yoga looks at that active involvement in life instead of withdrawing from action and the world into the purity of the self, purity of the spirit. There is an active pouring in. There is a inner concentration, a tapasya that is pouring into action. And the more instrument is ready and prepared and offered, the more it will perfect the instrument, refine the instrument, stretch its limits, remove its bondages, its limitations, and make you more and more free. And aspiration, rejection, and surrender remains a central process. The flame of aspiration, where there is this conscious will to progress every second. A conscious choice to reject that which is false, and an active conscious surrender to that which is molding, that living presence that is growing, so that it can envelop and shape the instrument, purify the instrument, perfect the instrument, and it can pour its delight into the instrument. With that, I would like to open to your sharing, whatsoever it is, your oblations.
Thanks, Manoj. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask Manoj, or make any comments, or it would be very nice to hear from you.
I would like to thank you, Manoj ji, for such a profound presentation. I'm still trying to absorb all that you said, because it's looking at purification from the highest point and allowing it to permeate the being. So far, we have been looking at purification that something needs to be done by us. We feel that way generally. We have to purify our emotions, work on our physical and mental. But this was just another completely different and a very high approach. So just trying to absorb that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaisriji. Work is required from both the ends. There is a period of effort where we have not yet learned to discern the divine presence, divine impulsion, divine guidance. So till that clarity emerges, there is a conscious effort from our side in terms of clear understanding of the buddhi. Buddhi being our highest instrument, having the right understanding, or a purified emotions, and its turn towards the divine. That's necessary. And as we progress, as we come in touch with the presence and learn to discern its guidance, its infusion, then the buddhi has to softly surrender to that vaster force to which we yield gladly. But early on, if we have that focus that it is that presence which can truly purify, that which is already pure can enter. If we have that understanding from early on, we can speed up the process. Otherwise, I see people spending decade after decade caught up in their own personal effort and struggle of the little ego, trying to purify, trying to control all the impulses, trying to be present in all the instrumental layers and the entire complexity, reducing it into some mental rules and regulations and inhibiting this or that impulse. And you are sitting with a tight lid. And often you're also suppressing a lot in the process. And it leads to complications and bursts, outbursts, and disturbances. So early on, if you recognize the sunlit path, you can save a lot of time, a lot of trouble.
It is the remembrance that is never constant. We get distracted very easily. So I think remembrance is an important tool. How to remember and offer constantly throughout the day in every aspect.
Yes. And it becomes so simple in everything we do when we bring that conscious choice, the will to progress. Any act, when done with the will to progress, that kindles the fire. It intensifies the aspiration. And as the aspiration is growing, the grace will pour into the instrument.
Thank you, Manoj, for this beautiful presentation. I just wanted to ask a question that when one is practicing the integral yoga and always making a conscious effort to open to the divine in every action, word, speech. In my case, I'm always calling the mother constantly, whenever I can. Do more and more challenges come your way? Because that's what I see in my life. And I just keep calling the mother. And somehow she pulls me back and says, step back, calm yourself. But is it true that more and more you are tested or something like that?
Perhaps the word testing may not be accurate, but we can say as the divine force is perfecting the instrument, it will also give higher levels of challenges on the way. And if we consciously open to higher degree of complexity of challenges that are brought to our way, and knowing that it is the divine transformative force that is bringing in, it will help us to grow our will and build our nerves. In fact, today on Facebook, I have posted a quote from the mother where she is referring to this difficulties. Like if we take more and more difficult tasks consciously, that will strengthen our will. and build our nerves. And one of my friend used to say, when you take up a really, really difficult challenge that you know that you cannot do it yourself, you're all the time calling for grace to enter and guide you and show you every step. If it is something that is within your reach already, you know that I can do it. You don't have to think about the divine grace or anything I can do. And we easily fall into the forgetfulness. So the difficulties, more and more complex challenges naturally come as you expand your capacity. And that's how you grow. And it is not testing, it is building process.
Very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Manoj, I just wanted to express my gratitude to be in your presence again. It's just your presence makes it feel that purity is there. You can sense it. It's like a reflection of what could be. So thank you so much, always.
Thank you. The presence is always there, waiting for us to wake up from our busyness. Even our search itself become a veil, an entanglement, a forgetfulness, when the presence is just waiting for us to just remember.
Mm. Just to be awake. Yeah.
Awake to the presence.
Yes, absolutely.
To consciously invoke in thought, in speech, and physical movements, allowing that to flow through.
Yeah. Any more comments, anyone? It was a very beautiful session, Manoj. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so until tomorrow, everyone. Try and keep that presence with you the rest of the day, because it's very tangible what's being conveyed here. It's wonderful. So thank you everyone for participating, and stay connected. Yeah, thank you. Bye, everyone.